Sudan is very rich in all kinds of resources. And that's one of the reasons why, the RSF and the countries that back it are trying to control Sudan. The biggest supporters for the Palestinian cause for many decades was Sudan. And this is something that really the Zionists hated. Some of the things I witnessed in Khartoum, for example, you saw how the masjids in Gaza were bombed to the ground. Same thing, Khartoum. Why were these masjids bombed to the ground, right?
It's not like the non-Muslims.
Why?
Everybody's a Muslim here.
Yeah. When I started filming, I remember one of the security stopped me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just documenting my trip." And he's like, "It's not allowed." Unlike Gaza, maybe it's my own shortcoming, but I'm not seeing on social media the reality of what is really happening in Sudan. Now, the positive thing is I met young leaders in Sudan in their 20s who are full of energy. They need to work together in order to rebuild Sudan. They need to connect with the Ummah at large.
What changed about you because of this visit in Sudan? So you just returned back from this intriguing, honestly, and I'm a little bit jealous of you to go to Sudan before I do. I'll tell you something really interesting before we start this here. For the past 10 years, I've been planning to go to Sudan, and every year I say, okay, next year I'm going to do it. Okay, when Maryam finishes school, I'm going to do it. Okay, when Omar does this, I'm going to do it. And then now I no longer can go. You know what I mean? SubhanAllah, it's been really a difficult thing for my mind to wrap my mind around the fact that I haven't been able to go. And I lost, subhanAllah, in the last 10 years, I lost my grandma in Sudan. I lost my aunt, my uncle in Sudan. And every time I always say, I'm going to go and I'm going to go and I'm going to go. You just recently returned back from this trip from Sudan. I just want to ask you, honestly, Mansour, what were you doing there? What did you go for?
First, Mamoun, thank you very much for giving us your time. MashaAllah, I know you're a very busy person, advocating for what's happening in Sudan. And, even before what happened at Al-Fashir and the global outcry, you were always telling us, we need to do something for Sudan. And unfortunately, I don't think the world has done enough. And subhanAllah, once Al-Fashir was very loud in the media, about what happened there, and details were publicized, I made a decision that, okay, I need to go to Sudan and try to understand what's happening there on the ground, try to provide humanitarian aid to the right people, to the right place, try to really understand what is going on there. Because, Mamoun, unlike Gaza, Sudan, I'm not, maybe it's my own shortcoming, but I'm not seeing on social media the reality of what is really happening in Sudan. Also, Sudan, mashallah, it's a very big country. There's a lot of different, I think, like within Sudan, there's a lot of different a'raq.
Different ethnicities,
different provinces, different people. For the situation, I'm sure, is much more complicated.
More than 200 different ethnic backgrounds, different ethnicities in the country.
Yeah, subhanAllah. So yeah, I made a conscious decision that I need to go to Sudan, and alhamdulillah, with the help of the right people, alhamdulillah, we were able to get there. Subhanallah, I applied to get in on a commercial visa. So subhanallah, I understood this later, but due to what has been happening in Sudan for the last few decades, a lot of so charities that tried to do work in Sudan, at the end of the day, a lot of it was uncovered as a lot of undercover and spying agencies for some powers that may be. So subhanallah, the people of Sudan right now, the level of security and awareness about anyone who is coming in from the outside who they do not know, they need to be 110% sure of who they are, why they are coming, how are they going to help on the ground. So we were able to get in touch with people who have good connections with our brothers and sisters in Port Sudan and Khartoum, and they were able to get us inside on a commercial visa, and we did a 5,000-kilometer road trip across different areas in Sudan to try to understand, document the situation on the ground, to oversee some of the humanitarian work that some of our amazing partners are doing in Ad-Dabba and Kosti. And again, to try to understand what the priorities are moving forward so that we can provide the right amount of attention, whether it be on media, on humanitarian-wise, in Khartoum and in other places around Sudan.
I'm going to ask you about all of these spaces, like each and every one of them. But I guess really what I want to begin with is like, tell me, what did you think of Sudan before you went to it? And I know that this is your first time going to Sudan, but what did you think you're going to see?
Yeah. So subhanAllah, I grew up in the Middle East, in the UAE, and subhanAllah, at that time, the two or three nationalities that really helped build UAE from the ground up, two of them were Sudanese and the Palestinian population there. So there was a large group of educated, amazing Sudanese community in our schools, in our communities, and I grew up with Sudanese friends, alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, they are some of the kindest, biggest hearts. As a community, subhanAllah, they're very strong, they're always willing to help. And I never got the chance or opportunity to visit Sudan during that time, but my interaction was mostly with the Sudanese people. We learned when we were young that Sudan was always rich with natural resources, rich with, especially also with cattle. Agriculture. Alhamdulillah, the Nile River alone, right, is a big fortune that the people of Sudan have. When I visited Sudan this time, you can see a lot of areas all around Sudan with a lot of greenery right beside the Nile River, and it's not being properly utilized, right? So you see, for example, like 50 meters of greenery, vegetation, and then you see desert. And that's the same thing you will see throughout Sudan in different areas. So also, if you remember, Sudan at that time, there was a lot of attention from the Western media about links to terrorism. And at that time also there was the infighting with the South Sudan
and North Sudan,
right? And at that time also, the link between Palestine and Sudan was very strong. One of the biggest supporters for the Palestinian cause for many decades was Sudan, whether it be the people or the government. And this is something that really the Zionists hated. And I think one of the reasons we are where we are in Sudan is as a result of Zionist and Zio supporter that pushed Sudan into where we are right now, whether it be by dividing Sudan into Sudan and South Sudan, or whether what is happening now in Darfur. Maybe not a lot of people know, but Darfur is the highest density of people that memorize the Quran around the world.
That's right, yes.
Darfur. And Darfur is subhanAllah a stronghold of Islam historically and now. And now look at Darfur, subhanAllah, with the news that happened in Al-Fashir. So this is all done in a systematic way. And when I sat with the people there, the people, subhanAllah, the older generation who has been there for 40, 50 years, and the younger generation who are in their 20s, they now understand the big plot, the big coup that happened in Sudan over the last 20 to 30 years. They understand that a lot of mistakes happened in how they faced the different challenges that Sudan went through, but they see Sudan now as one part of the Ummah at large. They need the help of the Ummah to move forward.
Tell me a little bit more. You know what I actually want to know a little bit, because this is actually a really beautiful perspective that you bring. Like you coming from Gaza, basically, you understand the Qadiyya Palestinian very well, right? the link that I hear a lot of people making that link between the actual Sudanese cause and what's happening in Sudan right now with the actual Palestinian cause, and the fact that it's a part of a bigger plan. It is a part of a much larger, I guess, really scheme to divide the Middle East and so on. So I want you to talk to me a little bit about that, to explain to me how that works, or how do you guys see it from your perspective?
So during the time of Umar al-Bashir's presidency, I know a lot of people might differ and might have negative things to say about his time in rule. But subhanAllah, officially, they were supporting the Palestinian cause in all ways. Even from an educational perspective, a lot of our scholars, a lot of our scientists, they learned their trade in Sudan, whether it be in person or online. A lot of the support for the resistance came from Sudan, right? Sudan, subhanallah, very openly, both the government and the people were supporting the Palestinians, whether it be in the West Bank or in Gaza. I met some of our Palestinian brothers as well who are now in Turkey and in other countries who tell me, Mansour, our best times for working for Palestine and aiding the Palestinian cause was during our time in Sudan. So I think that that bond between the Sudanese people and the Palestinian people has been there for 40 plus years. And I think before we also started this podcast, alhamdulillah, you are fortunate to have to call someone inside Gaza who told you about how,
how Sudan is perceived by people from Gaza, mashallah,
correct. How despite them going through what they're going through right now, whenever they hear the news about Sudan, whenever they see the images, the videos, their heart breaks down and their tears start flowing without even subhanAllah, unconsciously they start feeling with what is happening in Sudan. One of the reasons they're feeling that is because they feel helpless. They feel, okay, we don't know what we can do. This country, its people did so much for the Muslim Ummah at large, but right now we can't do much for them. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to help them and support them. So for them, having a Palestinian like myself go visit Sudan on the ground and representing Palestine in Sudan, for them that's something big. That's something that shows that we are one ummah, that despite our passport differences, our skin color differences, our ethnicity, our background, we still one ummah. We are still all bleed red, and we all need to continue to help advocate and work together and showcase the causes that we are going through right now.
One of the things that I went and visited Al-Quds, literally months before the actual the genocide in Gaza started. And I remember because they don't see a lot of Sudanese people, because Sudanese people in our passports are not valid in Israel and in Palestine. We actually have it. It's boycotted, right? So they don't see a lot, especially the people in Gaza, they don't see. So I remember when I went into the masjid and I told the guy I'm a Sudanese guy, he hugged me. This Palestinian guy, he hugged me and he's like, we haven't seen like Sudanese people, here for a long, long time. And then, subhanAllah, I don't know him. He was an elderly guy. And then he started telling me about like the history of the Ummah and stuff. He just thought, it's like, and just chit-chatting with me. He's like, there used to be a time when a person from this Ummah would walk all the way from Al-Maghrib al-Arabi or even Andalusia, right? Would walk all the way to Hajj, passing through the different Mamalik and different sultanates, right? There's no passport. There's nothing, even though he lives in, and not only he would pass from that place all the way to the as far east. You go from Andalusia to Hajj. And even though Andalusia at that time was literally a completely different system than really like Al-Abbasids, right? This Umayyads, right? In a sense. So you talk about that, but he also said, and then you can go even past Hajj time, go all the way to India, Ibn Battuta, for instance. He became an actual Qadi all the way in India, even though he's from Morocco. The Ummah, Brother Mansour, it had one heart. Even though it was separated, there were still different duwaylat and different, small countries and so on, right? But it still had a heart that was one, that it was, all of it was one in a sense. This thing is no longer the case right now, right? Like the fact that, honestly, it saddens me that this is your first time to go to Sudan. I feel like Sudan is a place that's deserved to be visited by everybody from this community, from this ummah. Wallahi, I genuinely do, because I think it is a country that resembles in how ethnically diverse it is, in how the land so fertile, in how just kind of how welcoming the people are. It resembles the actual ummah itself as a whole. What did you expect when you get there? Like, I just want to know, what was the thing that says, oh, this is like, this is new. Like, I haven't seen this before.
Yeah. So when we booked our flights, I thought that I'm gonna fly to Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, but they told me that
the airport is closed. Yeah,
the airport is closed, and Khartoum, the city, is 80% destroyed, and the infrastructure is inexistent, and I had to fly to Port Sudan via Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. So I took the Ethiopia air flight. I went to Port Sudan. I honestly didn't know what to expect, but subhanAllah, when I reached there, the first thing I did is, subhanAllah, I documented, the airport, and subhanAllah, Port Sudan isn't ready. It's right now the capital, the unofficial capital, and where the government is run, where the politicians meet, where trade deals are done. But it's now such a vibrant city on the Red Sea, but that wasn't the case a few years back. But it's now transformed to that. MashaAllah, it's full of amazing restaurants. It's amazing people. There's businesses. MashaAllah, it's a vibrant city.
Yeah.
Let me just go back. So when one of the funny things, when I started filming, I remember one of the security people stopped me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just documenting my trip." And he's like, "It's not allowed. Where it's a security zone.
Yeah, it's in a war zone.
It's not allowed." So, of course, later I understood that they had a lot of bad experiences with people, like
with
I said,
drones.
who would use, who would, like I said, are actual. They would go in as reporters, as charity workers, but they would actually provide coordinates to the RSF and some of those militias to bombard some of the critical infrastructure in Port Sudan or in other areas. So from a security perspective, the people, the new generation, they're very aware. It reminds me of my time in Gaza, that everyone on the street, like, they are, especially if they don't feel you are from the country, they will take a step back and not trust you, right? But again, this is not the people of Sudan. The people of Sudan are very welcoming, very open-hearted, but given what they've gone through over the last few years, they are more than entitled to be wary of any visitor or any newcomer that comes. And that's why it's important for me, before going into the country, after I go into the country, I try to meet the right people that will enable me to do the work that we do. Right? They understand where we're coming from. We give them connections to how we work and what we do, right? So that they can feel comfortable, so that we can go ahead and we can do the work, whether it be humanitarian, advocacy, or media, right? So Alhamdulillah, we were able to reach the right people in Khartoum. We had
so you went there as part of Humanity.
Correct.
What kind of activities are Humanity involved in right now in Sudan?
So Humanity in Sudan has amazing partners on the ground. Right now we have a Humanity camp in Ad-Dabba, and we also have we were able to distribute a few hundred tents, food boxes, and hygiene boxes in a camp in the south of Sudan, in a place called Kosti, which no organization was able to reach. So, however, now, in addition to the emergency aid, the request coming in is that we need more socioeconomic empowerment, right? We need help to ensure that some infrastructure is being rebuilt. We need help when it comes to enabling our new generation to be able to learn trades and to be able to add value within Sudan or even online. So right now they're looking not only from an emergency perspective, but also from how they can start rebuilding Sudan moving forward. So Humanity has been working in Sudan before, but right now given the visit that I did on the ground there, traveling throughout Sudan, I think we have a better um, focused action plan. And we also understand who the right partners to work with on the ground are, because it's not just about getting a picture or a video and then collecting donations. No, we want to add real value on the ground. We want to do the work that the people need based on the priorities that they raise to us. We don't want to have our own agenda or our own focused areas. No, we want to make sure that we do the right thing for those people at the right time, and not just what works better when it comes to digital marketing. No, we really want to add the right value, especially to the people of Sudan.
Okay, Khalas, it's actually a really wonderful thing for me to talk to you about right now. What are the needs that are happening right now? Like, tell me stories of what's actually happening. Like, we know that, 80% of the hospitals are basically destroyed in all of Sudan. Like, they're not operational. There's school shut down. 17 million kids who are out of school. This is, the UN is calling it the largest education shutdown on the face of the earth right now at this one. This is almost 3 years. This is a generation that's almost lost. And then close to 14 million people who are also displaced. They don't have home. They've lost their homes. So, Mansour, I want to know, what kind of stories did you hear when you were there? What were you being told about what's happening?
So, I interacted a lot with the people in the refugee camps, and some of the stories I heard were horrifying, like heartbreaking. We talked about one of those stories where during the time that the RSF was in Khartoum, in the capital, before it was freed, subhanAllah, the RSF militia, they entered the house of one of the women with her children, with her girls, and they forced the women in the kitchen to cook for them, the mother, while they continually raped her young girls. And this would continue for days until that mother at one point noticed there were some freedom fighters in one of the neighboring houses. So she was able to contact them and tell them, this is what's happening in my house. The RSF militias, the mercenaries, are upstairs raping my daughters. Please, I can't take this anymore. Get rid of these mercenaries. And if by mistake you also hurt my daughters, then it is what it is. I can't see them suffer anymore. So this is just one example, and this is in Khartoum, the capital, right? So this is in a supposedly more, subhanAllah, educated, high, like,
the more developed part of Khartoum,
exactly,
the more developed part of Sudan.
Exactly. And from every man and woman, right, that you speak to, some of them, they don't understand why the other side are doing to them what they're doing to, right? They don't understand where they're coming from. They don't understand why, like, for them, it's mentally, they don't understand, right? They're in shock. What keeps them strong is their faith, right? Similar to what the mothers in Gaza and the fathers, they say Alhamdulillah, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wrote for us. We will practice patience, and inshallah we need to work together on rebuilding what was destroyed. But for a lot of them now, they just don't see any kind of future, right? There's no plan in place. The thing is, in Gaza, despite everything that happened, the education system is still intact, right? And everyone there is now going to school. Everyone, whoever needs to attend university attends university, right? People graduate, people get married, weddings happen, people are able to find some kind of work, whether it be online or with projects international, because Gaza is very compact and there's a lot of focus there. But Sudan is very vast, right? And a large portion of the population, similar to Pakistan, there's a lot of illiteracy, right? There's a lot of people that aren't educated, that aren't aware of how they can add value in this life, except if it's some of these simple work, such as tailoring or farming, or like doing some odd jobs here and there. So now they're totally reliant on these food baskets, on these hygiene kits, on these tents, right? And there's no other way for them to make money, right? And the problem is that international charities, like international aid agencies, given the cuts that they have globally, they are slowly as well removing themselves from Sudan. My understanding is that at the beginning of next year, a lot of the UN agencies will stop operating in Sudan. So this means that the Muslim Ummah at large, whether it be through our charities, our personal voluntary acts, through our government means, we should be able to do something for the people of Sudan. I know that it's a big task. I know that it's a big ask, but each one of us will be accountable for them, for their time, for our time, for what we are able to do, right? You heard about what's happening in Fasher. What am I able to do? How am I able to act? Now, the positive thing is I met young leaders in Sudan in their 20s who are full of energy, and have amazing capability. And they are guided by some of the older generation of Sudanese people that has been there. They've seen the good and the bad in Sudan over the last 40 or 50 years. And now they understand that they need to work together in order to rebuild Sudan. They need to connect with the Ummah at large. I met one of the youth leaders who was helping with the media. And he said, Mansour, I was very close to Saleh al-Ja'farawi, Allah yarhamah. And subhanallah, I showed him that my videos with Saleh and my relation. I told him I was with him. We were actually living together in the same tent. And then I showed him the conversations that I have with his brother Naji. And like he felt that subhanallah, see, like we are one ummah. How that you were there with Saleh, now you are here with me, right? What we can do in order to advance the social media awareness, the capabilities of the people, how we can ensure that the right phones, the right footage goes out to the people of the world so that they can act based upon it. And they're starting to put the plans in place in order to properly rebuild that. So, for example, now one of the projects we want to try to work on is just $40,000, but that project will build the capability and provide the right technical tools for dozens of Sudanese youth in order to properly document and publish and talk about what is happening in Sudan. Like 40,000, given the output that comes from it, the return that comes from it is nothing. It's huge, right? But again, there's a huge potential. They need the right direction. They need the right resources, and we need to direct it in the right way. Unfortunately, I will tell you this. When I went to Ad-Dabba, there were some camps that were known that these camps are just for some international charities to come and take camera photos and videos and leave, right? They don't actually photo ops, right? And the Sudanese leaders in that area are so pissed by those actions of some of those organizations, right? So we cannot rely blindly on any partner or any charity that claims to do work in Sudan, unless, in my opinion, we do the maximum effort to ensure that whatever donation we do reaches the right people based on the priorities set by the people on the ground. Always ask the people on the ground, what is your priority? How we can help you to reach the goal that you wish to reach. But to blindly give anyone that claims to work in Sudan, unfortunately, I don't think that that's the right thing to do. We need to be more meticulous. We need to send our boots on the ground, like send our people onto the ground, right? There are ways. I expected, for Sudan to be a war zone in the areas that I was going to go to, right? People said that you might, subhanAllah, lose your life. And alhamdulillah, whenever our life is get to love it.
That's it.
So and there are like dozens of checkpoints throughout the road, but not once did I hear a bullet, not once did I hear a rocket, not once did I hear a drone, right? Alhamdulillah, despite I went to areas that should not be safe, but Alhamdulillah, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected us. Yani, if we're not going to help the people of Sudan now, when are we going to help them? Once they are okay, once they are on their feet? No, we need to help them when they are in need.
Yeah.
We were late. We were many years late, right? We were many years late. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for some reason, these mercenaries published their atrocities that they did in Al-Fashir, and the whole world saw what they did, similar to what the Zionists did in Gaza, where they published their atrocities to the world for them to see. So this is something this is a sign that, okay, see, now we know whoever thought that these were just two sides in Sudan fighting for an unknown reason, and they were both Muslim, we now know, no, there's one side that is Sudanese, has a
supported by the people,
supported by the people, right? And there's a side that are mercenaries, right? And they have an agenda supported by some Western powers and the Zionists, right? So now it's clear that no, we should help the Sudanese people on that side regain momentum, regain the power, because the other side are not stopping the work. They are continuously doing propaganda. They are continuously sending aid in quotations to help their mercenaries. They continuously try to push their political agenda on the people there, right? We need as an ummah to rise to the occasion, similar to how we are trying to rise in different parts around the world. Remember how in Bosnia the ummah rose, in the Afghan war the ummah rose, Iraq the ummah rose, Syria the ummah rose, right? Alhamdulillah, Gaza the ummah is rising. Right now in Sudan, there is some awareness, but subhanAllah, for some reason, I feel it can do much, 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 much more.
So I guess really let me challenge you, because we talked about this a little bit earlier before. I think it's really important, my brother Mansour, to understand, to also like address what I want to call like the elephant in the room, right? The truth of the matter is the Sudanese community feels really hurt about the fact that they're being ignored. They feel like the ummah is not as concerned for them as they should be, and it's evident in a lot of things, right? There's having, the media blackout. You don't really see much about it. You don't see enough that's being shared about Sudan itself. First of all, I'm honestly, with the following that you have, I'm genuinely appreciative of the type. Just if you just bring attention to it, that's sufficient for you, subhanAllah. But you're going past and beyond that. But I really want to talk to you about, why do you think, and honestly, you can ask me, like you mentioned all of these countries right now that the ummah has risen for, but why do you think we're so late as an ummah, as a community, to come to the aid of Sudan? Why are we so behind?
SubhanAllah, I think we touched on this before the podcast, and one of the things you mentioned to me, that statistically, SubhanAllah, the world at large, not only the Muslim Ummah, when it comes to African-related atrocities, right, and genocides, despite the large losses in people lives, in resources, in the scale of the atrocity being committed, but the action taken to help resolve it is much less than people in countries all around the world, and that might be unconscious any racism towards people in Africa.
So let me actually state that again, because I think that's an important thing to say. So it's proven, it's research, right, that is actually conflicts in countries where darker skinned human beings live, right, get less media attention than lighter skinned people, right? And I guess really where there is less economic interest of white people overall, where there is less, then there is less attention for people, right? So white people are interested in oil, for instance, so they care about they care more about Iraq than they would care about anywhere else. White people are interested in the protection of Israel. That's why they're interested in what's happening in Gaza and Israel and so on, the so-called Israel. White people are not interested in what happens to the lives of Sudanese people, and therefore There's no coverage, right? But what I want to really point out to is not actually what the white population of the world or the Western population of the world. I'm genuinely more concerned about the Muslim population of the world, because that to me is the part that hurts more to the Sudanese community. Um, you know, um, let's talk in numbers wise. And honestly, it's not appropriate. I know what I'm doing right now is not appropriate. I shouldn't be doing this, but I just want to use an example of this because I think comparing atrocities is not fair. It's not the human's fault, right? But the numbers, when we talk about the numbers of atrocities and the loss of death, the loss of lives, the loss and how atrocious people's behaviors are towards human beings, you would think that the worse things are, the more attention people should get. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Like, so that's what it would make sense to you. So with 13 million people who are displaced, lost their homes for good, right? Like 100 right now, forget 150,000 people that I keep saying to you. Since Al Fashir until today, just a couple of days ago, there was testimonial in the UK Parliament, where the testimony, they said more than 60,000 people have been killed in Al Fashir. This is less than a month, right? But I don't see that as a part. And again, maybe you are. I'm not seeing it in the masajid that I'm going to. I'm not seeing it as something that's being talked about or that's concerning or so on. And I guess honestly, I don't want you to like give me an answer of why, but I just want to know your thoughts on that. Like, what do you think is happening for us to be that way?
Subhanallah, I think that the attention received for Gaza is an anomaly. Maybe let's keep Gaza as a different outlier, right? But I agree that what's happening in Sudan, as has been happening for the last few years, is atrocious, and we, as an ummah, we haven't rose up to the occasion. And we aren't reacting in the same way that when we hear the numbers, for example, from Gaza versus the numbers that we're hearing from Sudan.
Or even from Ukraine. People in Gaza. Not even Gaza. You can say Ukraine or even Syria or so on, right? Like the numbers don't match the attention.
Gaza, over 2 years, we lost around 70, 80 plus 20, 30 within 2 years. But you're saying in Al-Fashir, within a few days, 60,000 were killed, right? So where's the outcry?
The numbers,
right? It's if we look at the numbers. So, wallahi, subhanallah, if I was from Sudan, I will feel like outraged. But I think also, wallahi, I spoke to some of our Sudanese brothers in Sudan about this, right, in general. And subhanallah, they themselves, they say that also, as the people of Sudan also, I think, weren't able to properly explain to the world what was happening in Sudan over the last few years. Again, maybe they did, but as an ummah, we weren't able to capture it, or we didn't listen properly, right?
So I'll explain that. I guess really I think this is actually a good thing that you mentioned this. But in Sudan, there was like an immediate brain drain as soon as the war started. Sudan wasn't locked down like Gaza, right? Or people couldn't leave, right? So anybody who was able to speak the narrative or anything like that decided to leave. It was a choice for them to leave. They wouldn't. They just wanted to, So now what you have in Sudan, people who are left in Sudan. This is the really sad situation, right? People who are left in Sudan are the poorer side of Sudan. Those who are not, again, I'm talking in general terms, not all of them, obviously. Many of them have stayed. I have cousins who are very well educated who decided to stay, for instance, right? But the vast majority of people who stayed are people who don't have the capabilities of leaving. Those are usually people who are less than middle class, right, in terms of how they are. Those are not people who are usually trained enough to be able to tell a narrative, to be able to explain the complex side of the politics, or to even do phone journalism, right? Like, this is one of the things that I loved about unfortunately, what I loved about how Palestinians tell the narrative, right, is the fact that the very well-educated people, they came out, they spoke really well about what it is. So it was easy for people to understand the narrative, right? Um, and also the how tight it is of a thing. Sudan is a really large country, right? Like it's huge. So if the bombing happens in a city, people leave the city and they just go away to another different city, right? So the atrocities were not always documented in a way that they were in Gaza or in Palestine, right? In a sense. So that's how I can explain that part of it. But there was still a lot of atrocities that were documented by the RSFers. I mean, even before Al-Fashir. I know that you mentioned Al-Fashir. But before Al-Fashir, things were really, really bad. In Khartoum, things were really, really bad. And again, maybe it's because I was invested into it, so I was listening to it. But I really, Mansour, I honestly, I really expected more from the Arab community because, the videos were in Arabic. So yes, I didn't expect the Muslim community, the English speaking ones, but I expected more from the Arabic community. And I didn't get enough of it. And I honestly, sometimes I still ask the question of why do you think that would be the case?
No.
Right.
So, so as we also
spoke too much. I'm sorry.
No. So, subhanAllah, just before I forget, the last president of Majlis Umana Al-Aqsa, the trustees of Al-Aqsa Mosque, was a Sudanese scholar, right? And subhanAllah, in Palestine, we have maybe given the expertise of the people when it comes to politics and advocacy and public relations, they are able to always connect the ummah at large to what's happening in Palestine.
Yeah.
But Sudan maybe didn't go through such atrocities that the Palestinians went through earlier, where they needed to connect with the ummah at large. They were self-sufficient, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they felt that the Sudanese people, expat Sudanese population, will help support the people of Sudan who are in Sudan, and that's how they moved on with their lives, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, wallahi, and I'm I have like a fish memory. I sometimes do things yesterday and I forget about them today. I try to always think of, okay, what can we do now moving forward, right?
That's right.
Yani, okay, the ummah did not pay the right amount of attention and didn't take the right amount of action for the people of Sudan.
So the reason why I asked that question, just so I know I don't want to interrupt you, but the reason why I asked that question, and I think I want to actually clarify this also for the people who are watching us right now. I'm not trying to ask a question to condemn, because I don't think that's important at this moment. But I'm asking a question to kind of, I guess, analyze so I can find out, okay, well, how do we move forward? If I don't know the reason why sometimes, I can't really move forward. I don't know what happened how do we fix it if we don't know what caused it? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I'm trying to say. Yeah. So right now, for instance, you and I are doing everything we can to share what's happening about Sudan. But it's very strange. Like I'm telling you, like people surrounding us, they still ask very basic questions. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes. So to you, like especially when you say like close to 1 million followers, for instance, and then all of a sudden, are you noticing, for instance, and this is a question between that you don't have to answer, but that, for instance, when you share things about Sudan, it's getting less reach than other stuff. Is there what are the trends that you're seeing?
Yeah. So definitely less than Gaza.
Than usual,
right?
Yeah.
Because Gaza, the whole world is aware of what's happening in Gaza, right? But subhanAllah, even Gaza right now is trending down. Yeah. It is less now on TV, right? Especially after the supposed ceasefire. Yeah. But brother Mamoun, let me give you examples of people in other areas around the world that are also not getting, in my opinion, the right amount of attention. Yeah. And maybe then we can answer the question of why aren't we paying the right attention of Sudan. Mm-hmm. So I've been to Bangladesh and to the borders and seen the Rohingya population in Cox's Bazar.
Absolutely.
Like millions of people, like literally living in tree houses. Mm-hmm. Tree houses, like that you see in the cartoons. They're living in tree houses, right? And
the Uyghur community.
There's no one
in China.
So I'm taking you step by step. So no one's talking about the Rohingya, despite what they're going through.
Atrocities,
right? The Uyghur population that you mentioned, right? Millions of East Turkestan, big Muslim population that are being persecuted and killed and raped inside, and subhanAllah, And mashallah, the expat community of the Uyghur are doing some amazing work right now when it comes to advocacy and helping their people. But again, little to no talk about them, right? Subhanallah, I was in Pakistan, and in Pakistan, Wallah al-Azim, yani, the work of charity there is vast and amazing, mashallah. The people are very well intended. But the amount of poverty and the need and the millions that need the right attention, also they're not being given the proper attention, right? So there are millions of people around the world that are, if they are not being directly, subhanallah, killed by mercenaries, but they are slowly dying given the economic situation they're in, given the living standards, given, you know, and no one is talking about them. No one's talking about their suffering, right? So again, that's why I think Gaza is an anomaly. Gaza, what's happened there, yani, subhanallah, it's really an anomaly.
Yeah.
But I think that the Muslim Ummah at large, the way we are living our lives, the way the economic system around the world is built is care for yourself, work 9 to 5s, take loans, think about repaying your loans,
yourself.
Think about, you know, how am I going to send my children to college?
Nafsi,
think about
nafsi.
So the number of people that think of sacrificing their lives totally for the sake of this ummah and relying on their sustenance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not from the person who gives me my salary, subhanallah, there's not a lot of people like that. Akhi Mamoun, one of the people right now working in Sudan, he's one of the people that helped me get the connections needed. Mm-hmm. He's Palestinian. Mm-hmm. He is a doctor. He's been working.
He lives in Sudan.
No, he lives in Turkey.
Okay.
He's specialized in aiding African countries. That's his specialty, right? And he's the one that's leading the work there right now. He's not Sudanese. He's Palestinian, but he is one of the people that the Sudanese people refer to and ask for help in order to execute the big projects that are there. There are good people all around the world, and change, when it happens, it doesn't need the whole world to be involved in it. You need a good 1 to 2% of people to be leaders, to be change makers, to be ready to sacrifice themselves in order to enable the change needed. What I was delighted with in Sudan is I met such core people. I felt that, yes, fi amal, there is hope for Sudan, given the youth that I met, given the minds that I met, given their understanding of the problem of Sudan, that it's not just within Sudan, it is linked to other issues around the world, and Sudan is just one piece of the puzzle, and that we all need to work together as an ummah to grow again. Akhi, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes victory, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to bring good on the ummah, it happens quickly. Yeah. We've seen that in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, overnight, the Americans left. In Syria, in 11 days, right? Juhud, 14, 15 sana, 11 days, subhanallah, the people there. Same thing in Sudan. People now have seen that the fruits of victory in different parts of the world, right? And they understand that by being united, unity is very important. We all have our differences. We all differ, you know, but sometimes these differences are what make us stronger. But we need to work together. We need to be united. We cannot afford to work in silos, right? We need to have the right teamwork, right? And subhanAllah, that's one of the reasons that, you know, I decided to work with, you know, the humanity team, the Muslimi teams. I felt that their mindset is trying to work in partnerships, trying to find different people with different, specializations and different strengths, and how we can capitalize on these strengths in order to bring forward the ummah, bring forward humanity, bring forward this world, right?
Yeah.
Again, I think, brother, that I showed you some of the B-roll footage.
Yeah.
Some of the things I witnessed in Khartoum, for example, you saw how the masjids in Gaza were bombed to the ground. Same thing, Khartoum, big masjids bombed to the ground, right? Why were these masjids bombed to the ground, right?
It's not like the non-Muslims.
Why?
Everybody's a Muslim.
Yeah. Why were these also masjids bombed to the ground, right? In one of the amazing things in Sudan is يعني in many places around the world, for example, protein, beef, chicken, etc., sheep, goat, it's scarce or it's expensive. But one of the nice things about Sudan is this is available everywhere. And subhanAllah, the poor and the rich, they all have access to eat.
This is actually something funny that you say this, because I come from Sudan, but I didn't expect like when we went to Egypt for remember when I was really young, we went from Sudan to Egypt, and Egypt, meat and chicken and stuff is like a really big deal, and I remember this, right? So it's inexpensive. In Sudan, I'll tell you some of the interesting things. If a guest comes to us in our home, I don't know if you've been to Madani. I'm going to ask you about where you've been and all this, but in Madani, it's a Jazeera state. It's really agriculture and so on. So if a guest comes to us, they send the youngest kid outside. Just go outside the door, right? And you would wait for about a half an hour, and then somebody like a shepherd will come with a whole bunch of sheep with him, and he'll just be walking in the street, right? And then he'll stop him. So, okay, how much is this one? 300. No, how much is this one? It's 200. How much is this one? Okay, we'll take this one here. And he's just walking in the street. So you'll take one, and then he himself will slaughter it, and we'll hang it up on the door, and then we'll skin it, we'll do everything, and cut it up for you and give it to you. And within a half an hour, the meat would be served to the guest who just came, you know what I mean? Like who just came. So it is like, sometimes I tell people how rich Sudan is as a country. It surprises me how rich of a country it is, because now we live in Canada, for instance, we're the most expensive country. You can't have a meal here for less than $15 nowadays. It's a crazy thing, right? But in Sudan, some of the campaigns that we're actually running is you're looking for $1.50 to feed a whole meal to a whole family, $1.50, right? This is how you think it. So this is the kind of blessing of the country that it actually is. You know what I mean? That's what I didn't want to interrupt you, but I just want to tell you stories about how protein is such when you talk about protein, it's such an easy thing. But it's really unfortunate that even that with the war nowadays, people are still hungry because there's not that much of a freedom.
Because now they're living in areas that are barren land, right? They're deserts. And a lot of the people that left the cities and the agriculture and the farms are now living in the desert, right? And those are the people who are trying to help. The cases of this is the people that are living in cities or on their farms or in their head. They have, alhamdulillah, access to a lot of cattle. But yes, you're right. The people in those refugee camps, they need help, right?
To help,
So there are, what I noticed is there are two main areas. There's the area in Dabba, right? And then
so before you go to this, let's talk about how you arrived. So first of all, you said you arrived in Port Sudan.
Correct.
What is your impression of Port Sudan? What did you think of the people there?
So it's a very small airport. First of all, it's not used to, I think, international travel. I think that airport is a domestic.
It was domestic.
But now it's the international airport of Sudan. So they're not used to the handling, I think, the numbers of people that came in. But alhamdulillah, it took us a couple of hours, and they processed my paperwork, and we were able to get in, alhamdulillah.
How were the customs? Were they friendly? How were they the people?
They were surprised that Palestinian Canadian is coming to Sudan. What are you doing here? I showed them the commercial visa. I told them I'm looking for there's some work we're trying to do here, and then because I said, it's difficult to apply for a visa to be a charity worker, because
people are scared.
Yes, they're scared that any person that's linked to charity or media might be a spy of an agency, right? That is trying to gather information and data. For
how long did you stay in Port Sudan?
So we had lunch there, and then we immediately headed to Atbara.
Oh, so you didn't even stay at all in Port Sudan?
No, we had a very condensed 4-day trip where we drove 5,000 kilometers. I was literally 75% of the time I was on the road. And one of the nights I slept on a bed outside. They had these beds. In the desert. And you just sleep there with
it's beautiful.
With the sky as your...
Could you sleep?
I did sleep. I was tired.
Yeah. Okay, so you went to Adbara. Adbara is what we call Balad al-Hadid wal-Nar. It's where it's the capital of the railroad in Sudan, right? What did you think of it?
Atbara, I felt was a commercial city, and I felt there was a lot of business, a lot of activity. I think it's now. Before, I think it was more of a town. Now it's a major city, a major.
Yeah, so Atbara has always been large because it is the capital of that's where the rail city is, like the rail, like that's where, since the British people, it was the rail. But Port Sudan is a much bigger city than Atbara. I'm disappointed you didn't stay in it.
Inshallah, alhamdulillah, I have another visa for Sudan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go there next quarter again, inshallah. But wallahi, and subhanallah, it was a very quick planned trip, 4 days, and I had to hit several destinations, focusing on the humanitarian work, and also because we had a meeting with some officials in Khartoum. So it was just being on the road, being on the road, being on the road. Okay. I didn't have time.
Yeah, I want to see.
Actually,
I'm excited about what you've seen. What did you see in Atbara?
Okay, Atbara, we basically rested in a hotel in Atbara, and I was able to take some B-roll footage, basically meeting some of the people in the markets. We spoke to some of the refugees who left some of the areas in Darfur and Kordofan, and we were also able to understand a little bit about the security concerns that people had. Again, I wasn't able to tour the city and understand but I was able on my return to pray in one of its masjids. And that was one of the videos that I posted on my social feeds, the adhan from the masjid.
Yeah.
And subhanallah,
beautiful masjid.
Yes.
So I watched that video with my wife. My wife wasn't raised in Sudan. She's Sudanese. So she's like, I never thought there was any such beautiful masajid in Sudan, right? And it surprised me because I know like Sudan is full of these beautiful. What did you think of the masjid?
So the video, subhanallah, was during the adhan. And what surprised me was that when the iqamah time came, the masjid was full. Yeah, and after the prayer, there was a dars. There was a lesson. It was Maghrib. There was a lesson by one of the mashayikh, and everyone was listening to the dars. Everyone was listening to the lesson. So subhanallah, yani, the people of Sudan have a love for Islam, and again, this is one of the reasons they have been targeted. And we need to, in my opinion, we need to be unapologetically a Muslim when we talk in social media. That one of the reasons that they have been targeted is because they are practicing Muslims, because they understand and they read history and they know about Sudan and Sudan's role in ensuring that the Muslim Ummah remains strong. So a broken up Sudan, a Sudan that is removed from its ideology, Islamic ideology, a Sudan that we can control its resources, that we can rob it of its resources, is a Sudan that they want now, right? And we need to understand that, and we need to, as an Ummah, come together and try to address the issue again with the people of Sudan. Connecting with the right people inside Sudan so that we can help them overcome this, right? There's a lot of khair, and again, the thing I think that I will repeat, what makes me very positive about the future of Sudan is the youth that I met there, the young generation that are smart, they're learned. Like you said, they could have left Sudan, but they decided to stay and to take the lead on rebuilding Sudan and resisting against these mercenaries.
Okay, so from Atbara, where did you go for that?
So again, traveling from Port Sudan to Atbara, I think took us maybe 7-8 hours. Yeah, maybe 7 hours, and yeah, there are 3 levels of security, I think, in Sudan, and each one has their own checkpoints. So subhanallah, we had to stop at some checkpoints. Alhamdulillah, things were very smooth. Atbara, then after Atbara, we went to Dabba. Dabba again was I think 8-hour drive, and Dabba is in the northwest part of Sudan. And this is where a lot of the media coverage, a lot of the international charities are working in right
There's
now.
there's a big IDP camp there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, the people there are in need, but again, this is where all the focus on is, right?
Yeah.
There are, I think the one of the camps we went to had around 2,000 families. Alhamdulillah, relative to other places, they are alhamdulillah taken care of. But again, yani, yes, it's important to work in Ad-Dabba, but it is one of the locations that is versus other locations very well
taken care of. Yeah.
And I saw firsthand a lot of aid, yani, in the large tents
I just
that are still waiting to be distributed to the people.
I want you to describe to me. So when you say like an IDP camp, right? So they look different in different countries, right? Like, I mean, you know, when we talk about a refugee camp in Palestine, for instance, it's actually buildings because it's been such a long time, right? So there's buildings and there's apartments. What do these look like? Are they like tents of like cloth or plastic? What? Just describe them to me.
I saw two kinds of tents. I saw tents that were I saw not tents. I saw straw houses.
Yeah.
Qash.
Yeah.
So
like gultiya. We call it gultiya.
Like dozens and dozens of straw houses. And I also saw tents provided by charities, right? They had the charity logos on them. Those are the two main kinds of temporary accommodation that.
How big are they? What are you talking about size wise?
So each one is fit for one family.
And they're all in one they're all in one.
So there are different refugee camps. The one we went to had around 2,000 families. Most were in those like regular tents, and some were in the straw houses or accommodations. I'm just trying to visualize it. And these you said like each family, so the average family in Sudan is about five people. 5 or 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6 people. And you know, looking at this room here, is it about the size of this room? Like, are you looking smaller than this? So maybe 2 meters by 2 meters, something like that.
No, a little more than that.
A little bit more than that.
Maybe 4 by 4.
4 by 4.
3 by 4.
Yeah, which is still a small space. Did they allow you inside? The families invited you inside. They allowed you to come inside.
So the people were very, very welcome, especially when they knew that I'm from Palestine.
Yeah,
like they were so happy to see a Palestinian. They love also the people coming from Turkey. If they know that you're Turkish, they will also take care of you. You know, but like I said, subhanallah, the people caring for these camps from the Sudanese government, they're very wary of people with foreign passports. You know, yani, like if
rightfully so,
if you don't get the right clearance, they won't allow you in the camps. They won't allow you to film. They won't allow you even to distribute the aid unless it's under their 100% supervision and their direction. Because there have been a lot of cases where, you know, trying to recruitment, trying to, use some people's very difficult financial situation in order for them to aid those agencies that they work for, in order to provide them with information that they shouldn't have. So the security concerns in Sudan are very high, and understandably. So again, it took time, but again, because of the connections we had, we were able to, understand where we're coming from. We were able to get access to interview people, to talk to the people, to tell their stories, because the world needs to learn to listen to their stories. Alhamdulillah, now we have in the archives dozens of interviews with the people of Sudan, telling everything, telling what happened to them, telling what's going on, their message to the world. I think it's important, especially to the non-Arab audience, right? Because a lot of people, they speak in Arabic, but we need to also convey
this message
the message to everybody else, right? So the access that we had, I don't think anyone else had, because again, you have to gain the trust of the right people in Sudan in order for them to be able to give you the information. Right now, subhanAllah, they are sending us material that, Mansour, please, let's use this. Let's publicize our stories to the world. Please make sure that we direct people to donate to the right way, to the right people, right? We need to make sure that we do things in the right way. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So then that's a dabba. So tell me after that, where did you go to?
After a dabba, we went to Khartoum, the capital.
Yes.
And that was the shock because, again, Khartoum, capital, Sudan, and you thought that it's going to be the capital, right?
Highest developed
capital, yeah. But subhanAllah, it's 80% destroyed in Khartoum. And there were only a few buildings that had some electricity, that had some water, that we were able to stay in, right? And a lot of areas, most of Al Khartoum is a ghost. It's a ghost town.
It's a ghost town.
Yeah. And that shocked me, صراحة, because I thought that Al Khartoum will be like Cairo, like Damascus, like Baghdad. This is an ancient capital in the Muslim world, and I was surprised to see it almost empty.
Yeah.
And I tried to document a lot from there. I did a lot of B-rolls. We did some interviews. But again, we were told that a lot of
security
areas,
was high.
Security is much higher in Khartoum than in any other places. Alhamdulillah, during my time there were no strikes, there were no security incidents. But again, people are very their level of awareness is very high. I mean, subhanAllah, I remember, for example, I was having tea at and I filmed the times I had tea there. They have amazing tea in Sudan, mashallah, similar to the chai.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, similar to the chai.
باللقيمات.
Yes, I had ligamat. I had the ligamat for breakfast.
Yeah,
Zalabia,
that's right.
Correct. Very healthy, of course. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. I remember talking to the subhanAllah, to the women that were preparing the zalabia and the tea, and they were asking about what am I doing, etc. So I was telling them, subhanAllah, we're trying to be a way to help when it comes to humanitarian work, trying to tell the stories of Sudan. Yeah, but at the same time there was like men sitting beside us, and I noticed that they were like listening to what we're saying, right? So later I understood that in every corner, subhanAllah, in Khartoum, there are some people that are trying to
gather information.
Exactly, trying to make sure that from a security perspective, things are under control. So it's very old school, less relying on technology, more reliant on the people, on communities and community awareness. And that includes the children and the families too, because right now they understand that they are at war, that not everyone that smiles to them is someone that wants good for them, right? So alhamdulillah that awareness exists. That's important, right? But no, definitely, if you go to Sudan, you have to try the zalabia, and you have to have the tea. Wonderful. In Sudan.
Okay, so then that was Khartoum.
So Khartoum, we were able to meet some of the officials in Khartoum in order to explain to us the situation of the country, what it went through over the last few years, what the priority needs are in different areas in Khartoum. We met with some of the youth leaders, and we talked about their concerns and how we can help talk about Sudan from a different perspective, how we can help Sudan, how we can involve the Ummah at large into taking part, right, into feeling that Sudan is one of the areas that of priority for 2026 moving forward. So I think Khartoum was amazing because it connected us to the right people who were able to expedite the work we're trying to do in Sudan at large. So
did you do anything fun in Khartoum itself? Like, did you go on in an aisle? There's a rides that usually go in an aisle. It was just fully business.
No tourism. I have.
I mean, I don't know if I want to consider it tourism, but I think it's important to experience like the things that the locals do. I mean, right now, I still have friends of mine who still go on these tours. They're not tours. We just go on a boat, near Jabal Marra, for instance. People, what they do is they actually go on these boats and they go fishing. So it's a part of like the experience. You didn't get to do any of that.
No.
You will, inshallah.
I'm very, very hard on myself.
Yeah.
I'm very hard on myself. For me, I'm there to do work.
Yeah.
To provide, to add value. I'm not there to quote unquote enjoy myself.
Yeah.
I'm there to. I have limited time,
Yeah.
and the people with me have invested, time and effort in order to do the work, right? So I wouldn't enjoy myself if I was.
Yeah.
Like I understand that people would love to experience that.
Yeah.
And
I think
mashallah,
part of the work, though, no?
maybe if I have more time, maybe on my next visit, inshallah. But I tried in Khartoum the fish for breakfast.
Yes. Absolutely.
Remind me, what's the name?
Fasikh?
Not fasikh. It was fried.
Oh, it was just deep fried.
Yes,
Yeah,
but those huge
You
fish.
had bulti.
Yeah.
It's like what they call the haddock. It's just bulti. Bulti is from the Nile.
But it was breakfast.
Yeah. We eat fish all the time. Fish it's a regular thing. Yeah.
And they had peanut butter with tomatoes.
That's right. Allahu Akbar, Salat al-Daqwa. Yeah, but this is where it's at. So the daqwa is a real staple. Have you tried the Sudanese food? I mean, you guys know food.
Yes, I had food.
But the Sudanese food has like the sesame seed, which is like very. Did you try a gashe?
It's like a soup. Your food. It's like it's not. It's like very.
No,
it's not. No.
I mean, not all of them.
Yes,
some of them.
The food I had was I had it in Port Sudan in my last day. Okay. I had food. But it was soup like.
It was okay. So I mean, I don't know that one, but like we make it. So the funny thing is Sudan is because so many diverse types of people. So the way we make food in my household, when I got married to my wife, they make it a completely different way, right? She comes from Kassala, from the eastern part of Sudan, right? We come from a Jazeera. Our food is mostly bosh, what we call bosh, which is fatta, but fattat food. And it just has like cheese, and it has like sesame seed, and it has shamar, and it has like and then dakwa as well, which is like peanut butters and everything that we have. Did you try agashe?
What is it?
Agashe is like dried meat, also with peanut butter. The peanut butter, peanut butter is where it's at.
It's called al-fool al-Sudani. Yeah. In Arabic, peanuts are al-fool al-Sudani. Now I understand why. What? Because in Sudan, the food is everywhere.
Everything. Yeah, we eat it.
Peanuts are everywhere.
Okay. So that was Khartoum, and after that you went to Kosti.
So again, I told the people that we work with in Sudan now, I want to do the work where the priority is most. So they said, Mansour, we need to go to Kosti. Now, Kosti, we were met there by the governor of the wilaya of the province, and also one of the ministers, and you should see the amount of happiness in their eyes.
Yeah.
They're like, you are the first organization that's providing aid to this area. Alhamdulillah, we're able to provide 700 food packages, 500 hygiene kit packages, and 200 tents. And the people there had literally nothing. And subhanAllah,
and subhanAllah, when these numbers that you talk about, they're such low numbers for the need.
Oh yeah. We're it's like a drop.
Yeah,
in the ocean.
Not even scratching. Yeah.
But I don't
appreciate it.
I don't know. I don't know if we do what we can. I don't know. Like I don't know. Like we provide awareness, right? So that's where I filmed when I was on the truck. When I was on the truck, I filmed on the truck, on the 8 truck.
Yeah.
I filmed that's we were in Kosti.
Yeah.
And I tried to showcase, the Kosti and the area and the people and how we were like there were the police were aiding us to avoid the traffic. And I remember arriving to the refugee camp in Kosti, and people there were waiting, and again, the stories
devastating.
Again, you feel helpless, right?
Yeah.
And for me, the way I function is, if I feel that something will hinder me from the work, I'll just shut down, because I don't want that amount of negativity or sadness to make me feel depressed and unable to provide, right? So sometimes I would listen, I would just be numb, or I would just, okay, let the world hear this, but for me, I can't.
Yeah,
I'm not able to understand it. خلاص, just it comes inside, right? يعني انت احنا these people basically lose everything. Each one of these has a family, has husbands, has daughters, has sons, has grandfathers, mothers, and they've lost many of their family members, right? They've lost their homes, they've lost their livelihoods, they've lost everything, and they left with nothing on them. And now they are from a point where they were providers, where they were tradesmen, where they were people that were able to help our people around them. Now they have nothing. And thinking about it, this can be us one day. One day we can be in their spot, right? And again, the Ummah at large is rich in everything. So why aren't we able to collectively help support these people, right? What are we doing wrong? So yeah, Kosti people were very thankful, right? People, subhanAllah.
Describe Kosti for us as a city. For those of you who haven't, Kosti is not a big city.
No.
It is a major town though, but it is not like a city. Right?
So there are no high-rise buildings, of course. It's basically a town. There's a lot of even the roads, they're not paved. SubhanAllah, you feel there's it had to grow fast because of the amount of refugees that came in. But the people there are very, it's like a community, like people there are very helpful. People there are organized. People there are able to work together and cooperate despite the need. It didn't need to have a presence of police or security in order for us to be able to distribute those packages to the people that needed them. They understood that everyone, inshallah, will be helped. They just had to wait their turn, and inshallah, everyone will get the aid given to them or delivered to their tents, right? Or to the place that they're
similar sites, types of housing and like accommodations, like also like
many of them didn't have tents. Many of them had families, like 4 or 5 families living in a tent. So they had the women staying in the tent, and the men would sit outside, right? So there's a lack of tents, lack of food, lack of clothes, lack of hygiene, lack of everything in Kosti.
And Kosti gets a lot of rain. Did you notice?
We didn't experience the rain, but it's more south. I think it's but there's more greenery, I noticed, in Kosti versus other areas. But again, this is where I ask whoever is involved in charity work in Sudan, please, let's try to work with the people on the ground to prioritize the work where it's needed the most.
Grassroots organizations always know better when it comes to where the need is, and I think people need to reach out to them and say, but these usually, subhanAllah, these are the ones who don't have much clout. They're not the ones who have much like followings on social media and stuff like that, right?
So we need your help to be able to enlighten us on because we need sincere people like yourself to able to shed the light about how we can help the people of Sudan better, right? Especially when it comes to the charities, right? That are operating in Sudan right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about these kits that you guys were given. So you said that there's like hygiene kits, and then there's food meals. Like, so how does this work? What were you trying to?
So the food, subhanallah, each bag was around 25 or 30 kilograms of different kinds of dry food, oils.
So that one for each family?
Yeah, for each family.
Okay.
And should be enough for 2 to 3 weeks. Like it was really heavy, mashallah, 25, 30 kilos each bag. And the hygiene kits were just the necessities of washing the clothes, feminine care, lots of diapers, because there were a lot of babies, subhanAllah. Again, these were all sourced and prepared by the people that in Kosti that know the needs of the people of those refugee camps. We didn't go ahead and purchase them themselves. Okay. No, we had, again, the governor of the province, we had the minister. They were the ones that directed what should be in each one of these packets, whether it be the hygiene kits or the food, right?
That's amazing, yeah.
Because again, we don't want to enforce our own, we know better. No, they know better. We're there as a tool to help them, right? To buy what is necessary. There is a lot available commercially in the market, like, but we need the right direction of money, cash inside the country in order to buy them off the tradespeople on the ground and to make sure that it gets transported to the people in these refugee camps. There's also some aid that comes in through Egypt, but again, most of what is needed for the people in the refugee camps are in the in the souk, in the markets of Sudan. It's readily available. People can, like I said, work on getting a visa to Sudan, go to the markets themselves, buy everything that the people need themselves, and then give it to the people in coordination with the authorities on the ground.
Okay, wonderful. So that's Kosti. After that,
yes. So that is a 2,500 kilometer trip. And then we had to travel back to Port Sudan on road.
So for people who don't really know, I guess really Port Sudan is the very top northeast of Sudan, right? Atbara is a little west of that, not as far, and Dabba is a little south of Atbara.
It's
a little south,
north. So yeah.
So a little southeast of Atbara. Northwest of Khartoum.
Yes.
Yeah. No, northeast of Khartoum,
northwest of Khartoum.
Yeah, and then Khartoum basically. But did you go from Atbara straight to Khartoum?
No, I went to Atbara to Dabba.
Okay, and then to Dabba, and then from Dabba to Khartoum, and then Khartoum south to Kosti.
Correct.
And then you went back to Khartoum.
So
same thing
to Khartoum, but not to Dabba.
We went straight to
Atbara.
To Atbara and then
Atbara to Port Sudan.
Oh man, I wish you would have gone to Madani, Al Jazeera. Like, so to go to from Khartoum, usually the way to go before this war, the way to go was to go through Al Jazeera, to go to Al Gadarif, and from Gadarif you go to Kassala. Madani, Gadarif, Kassala, and then you go to Port Sudan, which is the western side of the country. Really, really beautiful side of the country. But next time, inshallah, I'm going to take you with me. Inshallah. Mansour, what I don't know how I can ask this question in a good way. What changed about you because of this visit in Sudan?
Number one thing that changed in me was the increased feeling of guilt that we weren't quicker to act and to talk about Sudan earlier. Because for Mansour, for me, I used to sometimes think that, okay, Sudan before, it was the civil war between two people and they both had their goods, the right and the wrong, and there was an infighting, and the people of Sudan should sort things out themselves, right? But when I went to Sudan and I understood on the ground the reality that the true people of Sudan are fighting for their rights, right? Versus mercenaries, versus a much bigger regional war on them, I felt that we were very late in addressing Sudan and helping the people of Sudan. Also, I have a feeling of hope for the Ummah at large, because the youngsters in Sudan are acting and are taking action, right? In different ways, and they have a heightened understanding of how everything is linked together. It's not just a nationalistic Sudanese cause. It's much bigger than that. And I was also happy because I met with some of the elders that, subhanAllah, have been all over the world, and they are very focused on resolving the situation in Sudan in the right way. And I remember something. I remember, subhanAllah, when in Egypt, the Egyptian people were able to overthrow the Mubarak government. And subhanAllah, at that time, the Syrian revolution was still ongoing. And I remember I was working in a company, and in the company I had Egyptian friends and Syrian friends. So the Egyptians were very happy, rightfully so, that they were able to overtopple Mubarak and initiate a democracy in their country. And they were telling the Syrians, see, we were able to do it, but you guys are still fighting, right? So I told them, look, you overthrew the government and you superficially think that you gained your freedom, but still the core of the country that are controlling the country is still there, right? In Syria, they are trying to uproot it from the source. And this is going to take time, this is going to take effort, and it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. They're going to see the fruits later, but they're going to start from scratch. Things are going to be very clear and white. But for Egypt, you're going to suffer, and they're not going to let you continue with what you're doing because you only superficially overthrew someone, right? But the core is still intact. So the people of Sudan, when they overthrew the Bashir government, right, despite its good and its bad, more bad, right, they thought that, alhamdulillah, we gained our freedom and things are good. A lot of people, said to them, no, you have still a long way in front of you, because there's a lot of things in Sudan.
A system that's being built for 30 years.
Exactly.
You can't remove it in a day or two.
Exactly. There's a lot of core issues that need to be resolved, and there's a lot of regional powers that want the worst for Sudan, right? Like Omar al-Bashir, despite his bad attributes, he was still a point of unity to be able to unite Sudan. Now the powers that may be will try to divide Sudan, will try to create sectarian violence, will try to get people to fight against each other. Many years down the road, subhanallah, after the Sudanese people, I think, went through all that they've seen, they've now been able to visit this experience, revisit, rethink, study what happened, and now able to put the right plan to put Sudan on the right track. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to bring back a nation, He makes them go through a hard time, subhanallah. يعني ابتلاء. نعم. فسبحان الله, يعني, yes, the people of Sudan are going through a hard time, but again, this is what's going to make them stronger. This is what's going to be able to make their youth the leaders of the ummah moving forward. Similar to what happened in Syria, in Afghanistan, and other countries that went through hard times, and alhamdulillah, now we can see the fruits of their struggles. So I think that despite the very hurtful events that are happening, I think that Sudan now is on the right track. I think that the youth and the elders in Sudan, mashallah, they are one, they are working in the right direction. And as an ummah, we need to support them with whatever they need. Again, we have, mashallah, Sudanese brothers like yourself all around the world working for Sudan. We need to work with them. We need to understand their issues, and we need to try to help them resolve it and move Sudan forward. Please make the effort to try to visit Sudan yourselves. Please make the effort to continue to talk about Sudan and to continue to ensure that Sudan is a priority for the next year, because we might not see its fruits now, but Sudan will play a very big role, I think, moving forward for the future of this ummah. Sudan is very rich in all kinds of resources, and that's one of the reasons why the RSF and the countries that back it are trying to control Sudan, because Sudan, if properly utilized, can not only help Sudanese people, they can help the whole ummah, the whole world at large, given the resources that they have. Alhamdulillah, they have the right people, they have the right capabilities, and inshallah they can be utilized properly right now with the leadership that they have in order to bring back to the ummah what is needed.
Mansour, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you have visited my home. And again, I can't tell you how happy I am to have you in this podcast. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, accept of you the best of deeds, inshallah.
Ameen.
Next time you and I go to Sudan, we're going to have some good agashe, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. It's an honor. Thank you very much.
Allah yahfadak.
Allah yahfadak.